Hi, little one. Are you ready to drift into dreamland? Tonight's story is about a gentle wind who had a very special job to collect wishes whispered before bedtime. In the quiet hills behind a sleepy village, there lived a wind named Wilo. Wilo wasn't a big wind. He didn't roar through trees or push open windows. He was soft, a whisper kind of wind. But Wilo had an important job. Every night, when stars began to twinkle and the moon peeked over the hills, children across the village would whisper their wishes. Some into their pillows, some into their blankets, and some out loud into the night air. And Wilo, he would listen. He floated gently from window to window, gathering each wish like a firefly, carrying them carefully through the sky. I wish for a puppy. I wish my brother has sweet dreams. I wish I could fly. Wilo didn't grant wishes. That wasn't his job. But he kept them safe. He tucked them gently into the folds of the clouds, or hid them inside sleepy tree branches where they glowed softly all night long. One evening, Wilo stopped by the house of a little girl named Tessa. She was standing at her window with her teddy bear. She closed her eyes and whispering, I wish that someone will listen to my wish. Wilo paused. He spun in a small circle, just enough to tickle her cheek. Tessa giggled, then fell calm, like someone had heard her, because someone had. Wilo carried that special wish all the way to the stars. He placed it on a silver moonbeam and watched it shine brighter than all the others. Tonight, if you whisper your wish before sleep, listen closely. You might feel a soft breeze passing by your cheek. That's just Wilo doing his job. Good night, wish maker. And joyful dreamer. Tonight's story is about a tiny cloud, not one full of rain, but one that floated around collecting the happiest sound in the world, giggles. Way up in the sky, between the fluffy white clouds and the soft blue above, lived a small silvery puff named Pippa. Pippa wasn't a rain cloud. She didn't rumble or storm. She didn't make snow or thunder. She had one very special job. She collected giggles. You see, when children laughed, really laughed, the kind that made their bellies shake and their eyes squint, those little giggles would float up into the air like bubbles. Most of them vanished into the sky, but some were caught by Pippa. She floated from town to town, village to village, playground to playground, listening carefully. When a baby squealed with delight, Pippa caught it. When a toddler laughed at a silly face, Pippa held it close. When two siblings burst out laughing after a tickle fight, Pippa nearly burst with joy. She didn't store them in a jar or a box. No, Pippa kept them in her fluff. That's why she sparkled just a little more than the other clouds, and why, when she floated by, people felt a sudden urge to smile, even if they didn't know why. But Pippa had a secret. At night, after collecting giggles all day, she would drift slowly over sleepy towns and let the giggles go very softly, very gently. They didn't sound loud anymore. At night, they became tiny puffs of joy in dreams. A giggle might become a floating balloon in a toddler's sleep, or a silly dancing animal in someone else's dream. Sometimes it just made dreamers smile in their sleep without knowing why. One evening, a boy named Sammy whispered to his mom, "I dreamed that a cloud was tickling me." And she smiled, not knowing that Pippa had been nearby. And so, each night, Pippa rained laughter into dreams. Not too much, just enough to remind every sleepy child that the world was still full of happy things. So, tonight, if you smile in your sleep or giggle just a little as you dream, it might be Pippa, the cloud, gently letting a giggle fall your way. Good night. Hello, snuggly friend. Tonight's story is about a teddy bear, quiet and still during the day, but who, once the child falls asleep, wakes up inside their dreams. Tucked in beside a small child named Rosie was a teddy bear named Toby. He didn't talk, he didn't move, at least not while Rosie was awake. But the moment Rosie drifted off to sleep, Toby's stitched eyes twinkled, and he woke up, inside her dream. There, Toby was bigger than before, as soft as ever, and full of life. He waited for Rosie each night in the land of quiet stars, a calm, glowing world where trees whispered lullabies and paths were made of clouds. Together, they would ride on the backs of dream turtles, slide down rainbows that hummed with music, and drink warm cups of moonberry tea under glowing lanterns. Toby never rushed her. He always held her hand. And when her dream felt too full or fast, he'd gently say, "Let's slow down." Sometimes, Rosie would dream of being unsure or scared. That's when Toby became even softer, warmer, and braver, wrapping his fuzzy arms around her and making everything feel okay. He remembered every dream, even the ones Rosie forgot when she woke up. And as the sun began to rise and Rosie stirred in bed, Toby would quietly curl back up beside her, going still once more. Just a teddy, just a toy. But inside, he was smiling because he knew tonight we'll dream again. So tonight, when you hug your favorite toy, maybe they'll wake up inside your dreams too. And if they do, don't worry. They already know the way. Good night. Hello, gentle dreamer. Tonight's story is about a very special pillow. One that was more than just soft, because inside it bloomed a garden made just for dreams. In a quiet little bedroom, on a small bed near the window, lay a pillow. It was pale blue with tiny white stars stitched into its corners, and it always stayed cool on one side. The perfect kind of pillow for drifting into dreams. But this pillow, unlike any other, had something hidden deep inside its fluff and thread, a secret garden. No one could see it, no one could touch it, but the moment a child laid their head down and closed their eyes, the garden would bloom. The garden inside the pillow didn't have normal flowers or buzzing bees. It had glowing dandelions that floated like wishes, trees that hummed lullabies, and ponds where the water sang softly when the wind blew. It only grew when the sleeper was still, and it changed each night, blooming differently depending on the dreams. For a girl named Amira, the garden grew tall sunflowers that told gentle stories with their petals. For her little brother, Milo, it was filled with soft moss where toy animals came to life and cuddled around him. The pillow garden was never the same twice. Sometimes there were fireflies that giggled when touched. Sometimes the moon dipped low and left a silver path through the trees. And sometimes the child would walk through the garden in their dreams, barefoot and smiling, gathering flowers made of kindness and hope. No loud noises, no chasing, just calm, just wonder. By morning, the garden would quietly fade, folding itself back into the pillow's softness, waiting again for nightfall. The child would wake feeling rested, safe, and somehow happy. Even if they didn't remember the dream, their heart did. And the pillow, always quiet, always still, held their garden safe until the next night. So tonight, when you rest your head, remember this. Inside your pillow, a garden may be waiting. All it needs is your dream to begin. Good night.
Hello there, sleepy one. Are your eyes getting heavy? Let's take a quiet journey tonight, a soft little adventure beneath the stars, where the moon has something to say just for you. In the quiet sky, where stars whispered and clouds tiptoed, the moon had a secret. She liked to write letters. Not with a pen, not with paper, but with soft beams of light sent down to earth, where only those who were truly calm could read them. Down below, in a small house at the edge of the hill, lived a girl named Talia. She loved looking at the moon every night from her bed, and often wondered, what would the moon say if it could talk? One especially still night, as the wind hushed and the trees stopped swaying, a gentle line of light appeared on Talia's wall. It curved, then dipped, then stretched, forming soft, glowing words. Hello, dreamer. Talia sat up, her eyes wide. She wasn't afraid. The light felt warm and kind. Another line appeared. I see your thoughts when you look at me. Each night after that, the moon wrote again. One letter said, don't worry, your dreams are safe. Another said, you are not small, you are deep and full of stars. And one night, when Talia had a hard day and tears touched her pillow, the wall glowed with just one word, here. Talia smiled, wiped her cheeks, and whispered back, I'm here too. That night, her dreams were filled with moonbeams shaped like words, carrying messages across the sky to children just like her. And the moon, she kept writing, quietly, softly, every night. So, if you ever see the moonlight stretch across your room, maybe it's not just light. Maybe it's a letter just for you. Good night, little dreamer.
Hello again, sleepy friend. Tonight's story is about a pair of tiny shoes that didn't move during the day, but danced, skipped, and wandered far once dreams began. In a quiet corner of a little room sat a pair of soft shoes. They were not shiny. They weren't new. They had no laces, no lights, no squeaks. No squeaks. But they had something special inside them. Dream steps. You see, these shoes had been worn by many children before, and every time they carried a child through dreams, they remembered. They remembered puddles made of stars, clouds that bounced, and playgrounds built in the sky. Now they belonged to a girl named Mira. Each morning, Mira would slip them on and shuffle around the house. They didn't go fast. They didn't make much noise. They were just shoes. But at night, once Mira climbed into bed, closed her eyes, and drifted off. The shoes woke up. Very quietly, they wiggled their soles, stretched their tiny tongues, and tiptoed to the edge of the bed. And then they lifted into the air, one step, then two, and waited for Mira's dream to begin. In her dream, Mira would find herself walking through gardens that glowed in the dark, where butterflies wore pajamas and trees told bedtime jokes. The shoes always knew where to go. Sometimes they led her over dream bridges that swayed gently over lullaby rivers. Sometimes they took her across soft sand that hummed with sleepy melodies. Sometimes they just walked beside her, step by step, while the stars above blinked in rhythm. Mira never tripped, never got lost, because the shoes remembered every dream they had ever visited. And when the dream was done, and morning light kissed the sky, the shoes quietly returned to the corner, still, soft, silent, waiting for the next adventure. So tonight, if your shoes are resting by your bed, thank them gently. They just might be waiting for your dream to begin. Good night.
Hi there, sleepy toes. Tonight's story is about a staircase made not of wood or stone, but of marshmallows, and it only appears when you are truly ready for bed. In a small, peaceful village where dreams floated like dandelion seeds, there was a legend whispered among children. When your body grows still and your eyes get heavy, a staircase made of marshmallows will appear just for you. No one had seen it during the day. It only appeared at night, and only for those who were ready to sleep. One such night, a little girl named Lenny yawned a very big yawn. She had brushed her teeth, put on her coziest pajamas, and cuddled up with her pillow. But before her eyes closed, she noticed something odd in the corner of her room. A soft step, then another, then more. Each one was fluffy, white, and slightly glowing. They stacked gently upward, reaching into the air like a soft, glowing ladder of clouds. Lenny slipped out of bed and gently placed one foot on the first step. It didn't squish too much, just enough to feel cozy. With every step she climbed, the world grew quieter. She heard whispers of lullabies in the air. She felt her body grow lighter, not sleepy tired, just floaty. The marshmallow steps led her past a window where owls blinked slowly, past trees with closed eyes, past clouds that sighed. When she reached the very top, there wasn't a door, there wasn't a room, just a big soft bed waiting in the stars. Lenny climbed into it and sank deep, deeper, until she felt weightless. The stars above blinked kindly. The air hummed like a hug. A soft voice whispered, "You've climbed the marshmallow steps. Now, rest." Lenny smiled, closed her eyes, and drifted into the gentlest dream. And when morning came, she woke up in her own bed, warm, rested, and full of wonder. Maybe tonight, if you're very still and very ready, you'll see your first marshmallow step appear. Close your eyes now. They only come when you're ready. Good night.
Hello, Starry Snuggler. Tonight's story is about a pair of pajamas that didn't just keep a child warm. They lit up gently in the dark and carried them into the softest dreams. In a little dresser folded neatly between cozy shirts and socks lay a pair of very special pajamas. They looked like ordinary sleepwear, dark blue with tiny silver dots. But when the lights turned off and the room grew still, something magical happened. The silver dots began to sparkle. Not like glitter, not like fireflies, but soft, slow flickers like stars sighing in the dark. A child named Juna discovered them one chilly evening. She pulled them on and they felt just right, warm at the toes, soft at the collar, and light as a whisper. As she lay down, her covers tucked around her, the pajamas began to shimmer. And then the stars on her pajamas slowly lifted, floating like glowing dust. Juna felt her body relax, and suddenly she was drifting. The pajamas weren't just clothes, they were a ship, a starship. She sailed through skies made of velvet, past sleepy clouds and blinking planets. Comets waved hello, and shooting stars twirled in slow, dreamy circles. Her ship made no sound, only a faint hum, like a lullaby wrapped in moonlight. Juna didn't steer. The pajamas knew the way. They carried her to places no one else had ever dreamed, gardens of quiet giggles, lakes of shimmering light, and floating beds of cloud-soft pillows, and when her dream was done, the pajamas gently brought her back to bed, just in time for the morning light to peek through the window. The sparkles faded, but Juna always woke up with the feeling that something magical had happened. And each night when she put on her starry pajamas, she smiled, ready to fly again. Tonight, when you slip into bed, imagine your pajamas glowing quietly, ready to carry you somewhere beautiful. Good night.
Hello, Starlight Sleeper. Tonight's story is about a star. Not one that stayed high above, but one that fell gently into the pocket of a curious little explorer. One evening, just after the sky had turned deep purple, a boy named Theo stood outside in his pajamas, staring at the stars. He loved looking up. He always wondered what it would be like to catch a star and keep it close. That night, as he reached out with a sleepy smile, something tiny and glowing blinked, then drifted down. It floated like a feather, shimmering softly, and landed plop right into the front pocket of Theo's pajama top. It was a baby star, not hot, not bright, just warm and gentle, like a hug made of light. Theo, you're real? The star blinked once, then curled up inside his pocket like it belonged there all along. Theo ran inside and climbed into bed, holding his hand over the little glow in his shirt. That night, something magical happened. As soon as he closed his eyes, the star began to hum, a low, steady tune that only dreams could hear. Suddenly, Theo found himself walking across a sky bridge made of silver string. The star peeked out of his pocket, lighting the way. The star pridged down from Severe, Theo phasing high rest a long life. They floated past sleepy moons reading books. They phased tiptoed along Saturn's rings like a tightrope. They played hopscotch between sleepy constellations. The star never spoke, but Theo always knew where to go. When he grew tired, he lay down on a puff of night cloud, and the star nestled beside him, glowing just enough to make him feel safe. By morning, the star had grown dim, not gone, just resting. Theo gently lifted it from his pocket and placed it on his windowsill. It blinked once, then floated back up into the sky. He waved and "Thank you! Come back any time!" And from that day on, Theo checked his pocket every night, just in case. Tonight, before you close your eyes, check your pocket. There might be a sleepy little star waiting to guide your dreams. Good night.
Welcome back, sleepy soul. Tonight's story is about a quiet rocking chair in an old room. A chair that didn't wait to be rocked because it remembered how it felt. In the corner of a quiet attic, next to a dusty window, sat a wooden rocking chair. It was old. Its paint had faded, and its seat cushion was a little lumpy. No one sat in it anymore. But the chair remembered. It remembered being part of bedtime, of stories whispered in soft voices, of arms that held babies close, of laughter that echoed into the night. Now, The house was quieter, the attic still, but the chair still rocked, just a little, just enough. Each night, when the moonlight touched the window, the chair would begin to sway. Forward, back, forward, back. It wasn't lonely, because it could still hear echoes of the past. The hum of lullabies, the creak of floorboards, the gentle sigh of sleep. One evening, a little girl named Sophie climbed into the attic. She was visiting her grandmother's house and couldn't sleep. She found the rocking chair and sat down. It fit her perfectly. As soon as she did, the chair began to move. Not because she rocked it, but because it remembered what to do. Forward, back, forward, back. Sophie felt calm, safe. She didn't ask why it moved on its own. She just closed her eyes and let it rock her into dreams. The chair didn't need thanks. It was happy to do what it had always done. Tonight, if you ever hear a quiet creak in the corner, maybe it's just an old chair, remembering love, and still rocking, just in case someone needs it. Sleep well, little dreamer.